WrestleMania What-Ifs has become my favorite segment on the show. And Andy, even after WrestleMania season is over, we're going to have to find a way to incorporate this to the regular show because this is a lot of fun. 2 weeks ago, if you missed it, it's in our archives. CM Punk, what if he doesn't leave ahead of WrestleMania 30? And then last week, what if Steve Austin doesn't turn heel at WrestleMania 17? Go check out those videos in our archives. They're linked right here. So go check that out. But this week, Andy, it's match outcomes. It's what if this match had a different outcome? And the first one that comes to mind, WrestleMania 31, Sting's only WrestleMania match. Andy, we all know that he loses to Triple H. Thanks to the involvement of the NWO and DX, and the Monday Night Wars come to a head on the grandest stage of them all. But Triple H beats Sting in his only WrestleMania match. But Andy, what if in this Scorpion Deathlock, Triple H taps out and Sting gets the victory at WrestleMania? What would have happened? Sting wins that match.
It's a weird, I don't know, it's a weird thing because it's not like, what if, this person didn't leave, or what if this person didn't do this? It's a match outcome of a guy who had issues later on with injury and everything else. So I don't know how much the win, the loss would have actually played into it. But I do think, if he would have won, maybe that means maybe he would have won a WWE title. Like maybe he would have been WWE champion at some point. Maybe he, would have had more than just a handful of matches throughout his WWE stint. I think it's a really interesting question. I think it more goes to show, which is another segment around WrestleMania time I think we could do, which is like the worst outcomes or the worst decisions in WrestleMania history. Because I think this is right up there with it. I mean, Sting should have absolutely unequivocally won this match. I think there's no doubts about it because, again, I think you look at Sting and you go, he probably only has one WrestleMania match in him. I don't think anybody foresaw the AEW run and everything else that we got afterwards. So maybe he only has one or two left in him. You got to give him this moment. And I know he's not a WCW guy. He is the WCW guy.
Yeah.
But you had to give him this moment. You had to give him this win. I thought everything in the match was awesome. I think the NWO coming out, I think DX coming out, I think that was a great callback because you're talking to a guy who didn't get to experience any of that in person.
Right.
And to get that moment, I was like, yeah, this is what the Attitude Era, this is what, this era of wrestling felt like. I get it. Like, I completely get all the stars coming out, the two biggest groups during that time period. They never got to lock up the right way. This is a perfect way to do it. Everything was great about it until Sting got pinned. And then it was like, we see what's happening here. We know what this is. This is Vince not letting a grudge die and not letting the WCW guy pin his son-in-law. Like, I think that's, at the end of the day, that's kind of what it felt like it came down to.
Yeah, it definitely felt that way for sure, especially as a Sting fan. You want Sting to win his only WrestleMania match. And we talked about this when Sting had his last match in AEW. I thought for sure that Sting would lose because that's the kind of guy Sting is. He's a traditionalist. He's going to go out on his back. And I truly think this is the only match he planned on having in WWE. And that's why he lost. And like you just said, Vince probably being like, you don't have to tell me twice. Sure.
That was happening anyway.
That was going to happen anyway, but I'm glad you agree. Now, I think the conversation was a little more respectful when it came to that, because I don't think Sting would have come to WWE had the relationship with Vince not been more respectful than that.
Yeah.
But it is fun to joke about. Having said that, though, we know that later on in WrestleMania 31, The Rock comes out, and it looks like we're building towards Rock versus Triple H the following year at WrestleMania. We know that doesn't happen, but
it's a common theme.
It's a common theme. You're right. But Triple H has said that is one of the reasons that Sting lost that match, is because they were trying to build some momentum for Triple H since he lost at WrestleMania 30 and he was only wrestling once a year at that point. Well, I get that. And as big of a Sting fan as I am, I'm honestly okay with the outcome. I'm okay with him losing. What I hate is the circumstances following and the fact that he tried to come back. Sting versus Seth Rollins, awesome. Absolutely. For the WWE Championship, sign me up. But then he gets hurt. And we can't predict injuries. But at the same time, like you said, maybe he has 3 or 4 more matches if he beats Triple H. And maybe if that happens, maybe he doesn't even go to AEW when it comes around to begin with. Maybe he is, hey, my career ended the way I wanted it to. I'm done. I'm not doing anything else. And maybe he doesn't ever go to AEW. I'm not saying that I regret him doing that. I'm just saying the way that we talked about Punk staying in WWE and altering the whole landscape of 2014, and the way that we talked about Steve Austin, if he hadn't turned heel, it would have just been Steve Austin. So nothing really would have changed. Andy, this one's kind of up in the air. We don't really know exactly what would have changed had Sting won this match, So I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's just a weird case altogether, because I know going back to like Triple H and The Rock and everything, the Authority was running wild during that time period. And I don't think Triple H losing to Sting, of all people, would have affected what happened between Triple H and The Rock. Like, it has nothing to do with that.
Right.
So I don't know. It's one of those that this is during a time period, plus during a WrestleMania where a lot of people did not have high hopes for that Mania. Like, that was probably one of the worst built WrestleManias of all time. Turned out to be, it was a pretty good, it turned out to be a pretty good WrestleMania.
Pretty good.
It's one of those, I think people just went in with really low expectations. I think people went in with the mindset that if Sting loses, it's just a vendetta. Mm-hmm. And then with how everything happened in the match, and you had the NWO come out, you had DX, dispatch of NWO and everything else, which, by the way, favorite moment in the entire match is when Kevin Nash hits a move and fakes like he tore his quad. I die laughing every time I see that clip. But I think if you do it that way, you very clearly bring out the NWO, you bring out DX, and you very clearly put the dirt over WCW one more time and just stomp down on it. Everybody looks at that and goes, this is what this was all along. And it's hard not to look at that and go, I know Sting got paid good money to come in here probably. Yep. This was the plan all along. Whether it was said in person or not, this was the plan all along.
Yeah, and Sting has always said that the reason he didn't go to WWE is because he didn't know how he was going to be booked. He didn't trust how he was going to be booked. He was like, look at the night Booker T came in and they said, who are you? And that's why he didn't. And I don't know what convinced him to come in this time. I don't know why he decided in 2014 that it was a good time to come in and wrestle this one match, just because, like you said, the same outcome that you assumed would happen happened, and he lost. And WCW got taken to task one more time.
Here's the thing: in 2014, where else was he going to go?
That's true. Yeah,
he had done everything in TNA at that point. He probably wasn't going to go to New Japan.
Right.
I honestly think if there was an AEW equivalent around in 2014, I don't think Sting ever would have walked through WWE's doors.
Possibly.
And I think that's just his mindset. And it kind of was just like, well, you know what? I've done everything else. I'm ending my career. What's the worst that could happen?
Yep.
Well, it got kind of bad there for a minute. So I don't know. It's Sting's run in WWE is such a fever dream.
Yeah.
Like, it feels like a WWE 2K universe mode of Sting being in WWE, because it happened in a blink of an eye and it was gone. Like, it was wild how it happened.
You mentioned him becoming WWE champion. If he wins this match, let's say that he has a 1-year run in WWE. Let's say he retires in Texas, WrestleMania 32. Don't know who he faces. Doesn't matter at this point. Would you have
who he faces at 32, I think.
Who does he face at 32, you think? Taker? Oh, okay. That makes sense. Do you put the championship on him during that year? Do you let him be champion? Does he need it?
Yeah. Not that he needs it. I think it's a respect thing at that point.
Yeah.
Plus, like I think you want, you want in your lineage the best of the best, and I think Sting is that. And I think for them to be able to say that Sting is a one-time WWE champion, and even for that run, it would be amazing if he brought the big gold title back, and like that was his championship that he touted around in WWE. Like I think something like that. And again, if you want to tell a WCW WWE story, you can tell it, and you can even have WWE come out on top at the end. But yeah, it's compelling to have Sting be the world champion, take over the show, and say, you know what? I'm turning this into my show now. I'm turning this into WCW. Like, this is what should have happened if Eric Bischoff wasn't an idiot and all this other stuff didn't happen and this, that, and the like. Just let him go off. Let him be Sting.
Yeah.
And then, you know what? In a year's time at WrestleMania, who does he face? The guy in WWE. This is my yard. You come in here. I've already gotten beat. I've already lost my streak at WrestleMania. I'm not letting you come in here. And if you have Taker beat Sting at Mania after a year build, I think this whole thing is looked at completely differently than how it's looked at WrestleMania 31.
Well, that's the fun game of what if, Andy. Lots of things could have happened if Sting would have beaten Triple H, or if Sting would have even hung around a little bit, not getting injured and this, that, and the other. But again, what a storied career that Sting had. One of my favorites of all time, one of the greatest of all time. Recently had a birthday. So happy belated birthday to the Stinger.